Did you know that the very first Merfolk ever printed were Merfolk of the Pearl Trident way back in Alpha? That's right, the fish have been here since the very beginning, and they've been swimming their way into players' hearts for over 20 years now. Envisioned as a way to get sea-based creatures involved in the game, Merfolk were the first blue-based tribe to ever see play. Thanks to the power of the formidable Lord of Atlantis, a 2-cost creature that gave Merfolk +1/+1, and Island Walk that you will still recognize today, Merfolk saw play from the very beginning. And have they ever? Today, Merfolk is a premier deck in Modern, where it continues a history of success in nearly every format, from Standard to Extended to Modern to Legacy to even Vintage, where Joel Lim won the 2013 Vintage Championship with a Merfolk deck, aptly named Fish. On the subject of fish, you'll notice that today it's a term used interchangeably with Merfolk. But it wasn't always that way. In fact, when the deck first came onto the Vintage scene in the year 2000, thanks to the quirky Rootwater Thief, the card designed by Invitational winner Mike Long, it barely contained many Merfolk at all. But the unique ability of the Thief got players tinkering with the archetype. And before long, Manta Riders, Tidal Warrior, and trusty Lord of Atlantis were beginning to swim onto the scene. The next evolution came with the printing of Standstill in Odyssey. Thanks to the early Merfolk and the presence of creature lands like Fairy Conclave and Mishra's Factory, the deck could apply pressure while threatening to draw 3 cards at any time. But as the metagame evolved, most of the Merfolk actually left the deck, even though the tempo decks that remained retained the fish moniker. Merfolk as we know it today began to take shape with the release of Lorwyn in 2007. Suddenly a whole new crop of powerful Merfolk entered the scene. Backed up by counterspells like Daze and Force of Will, the new breed of fish paired perfectly with Aether Vial and honorary Merfolk Mutavault. The deck began to take shape. It had made its presence known, but it hadn't yet broken through. That changed with the release of Zendikar in 2009 and the unassuming Spreading Seas. By messing with the opponent's mana and gifting the Merfolk player an unblockable path to victory, the enchantment aura became a mainstay. 2 sets later in Rise of the Eldrazi, Coralhelm Commander came along and gave the deck another potential lord. With its increasing playability, Merfolk won a few major tournaments. In 2010, Tomoharu Sato won Grand Prix Columbus with Legacy Merfolk, splashing black for Engineered Plague and Perish out of the sideboard. Later that year, Marin Leibart made the top 8 of Pro Tour Amsterdam with a version of the deck, modified for the now discontinued extended format. After the banning of Survival of the Fittest in Legacy in late 2010, Merfolk spent more than a year as the deck to beat in the format. In 2013, the Commander deck Mindseas added a new fish to the ranks, True Name Nemesis. This powerful creature made such a huge impact that it won a Legacy Grand Prix in its debut. Modern was created in the winter of 2011, and while Merfolk was a popular contender out of the gate, it took some time to find its footing. But while Modern underwent its many shifts and turns throughout the years, Merfolk quietly kept swimming along and picking new pieces as it went. Without a doubt, the biggest addition was Master of the Pearl Trident in Magic 2013, which suddenly gave the fish a powerful 8 Island Walk granting lords. But Cavern of Souls wasn't far behind. Thanks to more recent additions, Merfolk finally won its first major Modern title at Grand Prix Copenhagen in 2015. That brings us to Fish in 2016. It looks a lot different than it did back in 2000, but the way the games play out aren't all that different. The ideal start is an Aether Vial to keep the creatures flowing, all the while using mana to disrupt opponents from playing their game. As the creatures fill the board for fish, games can end in the blink of an eye as a Lord of Atlantis or Master of the Pearl Trident pump the team and let the deck finish the game out of nowhere. A deck with so many redundant pieces, Merfolk is hard to shut down, and its success over the years is testament to that. So whether you're playing Modern, sleeving up for Legacy, or willing to make a splash into Vintage and fuel your school perhaps with a Black Lotus on the start, now you know your fish. Good luck keeping your head above water. No, wait, we're Merfolk. We want to keep our heads below water so we can breathe. And if you'd like to hear Did You Know Magic, did you know there was more Did You Know Magic videos to be seen in the Did You Know Magic playlist? So make sure to click and explore and subscribe to Gathering Magic for more. I'd like to thank Corbin Hosler for writing this script. You can find more of his work on the coverage team for Wizards of the Coast or on his weekly podcast, Brainstorm Brewery. You can also check out my work over at Tolarian Community College, where you can find everything from Magic the Gathering product reviews to deck text to introductory lessons to help you become a more informed Magic the Gathering player. Hope to see you there.